August the 26th, 2020. Guys, you're looking at the storm surge warning graphics, and this is as of 4 p.m. Central today. Now, that's been 2 hours and 22 minutes ago, and the storm has increased in strength. Wind gusts have picked up, wave height has picked up, but this one hasn't been updated yet. And maybe around 8 p.m. we'll see if it changes or whatever, and I'm going to do an update about that time anyway. But right now, you're looking at the storm surge warning, and one of the reasons I want to do this is because I know some of these areas, but you're looking at down from Lake Jackson through Galveston up into Houston, through Beaumont, Lake Charles, south of Lafayette, Morgan City's completely encompassed, Houma, Louisiana, and then down in an area that I am very familiar with, the Empire. You saw it pull up right here, Empire, Port Sulphur, and Buras area, right there. This is on the Mississippi River, guys, and just kind of a brief history, if you don't mind me taking the time. In 64 and 65, my family was in the oil field business, and sometimes we would travel, especially when I was in elementary school, and because of the work. But anyway, 64 and 65, I was in the 4th grade at Buras High School. Now, it was just one school from 1st grade to 2nd grade. To 12th grade, but it was a 2-story school, and it was on the banks of the Mississippi River. It may still be. But anyway, behind the campus of the 2-story building, it had a big area about like a football field, and then a big high chain link fence, and then maybe a 30-foot levee that went up to the Mississippi River, and the river was much higher than the school. And I can remember those days, and many of you people that are from this area, when some of the big battleships would be coming up to New Orleans for different things or whatever, and those big waves would roll over that 30-foot dike and appear to wash down the levee towards the schoolyard, and then there would be a container ditch at the bottom. And it was amazing. Another thing about this area, guys, in the Port Sulphur, Buras area that you're seeing, a lot of the folks that you see on Swamp People, whether with Roy and a bunch of those fellas, hunt alligator. A lot of them are in this very area that's in red right now as far as the swamp, the storm surge. Now, let me just again, a little story here about Buras in 64 and 65. Hurricane Betsy came in, and we had to evacuate, and we had friends here in Mississippi and family. I grew up in Mississippi, but we were traveling at this time because of in the oil field business. And so we traveled up through New Orleans and back to Jackson, Mississippi, and with aunt and uncle, and stayed there through this time. It was a good thing because the levee broke, that high levee, and we had came back down from, then it was just a 2-lane road coming from New Orleans down to Buras along the Mississippi River. And several places we went through a foot or two water trying to get back in on that 2-lane highway. The house was spared. I think the carport was overturned. We got all that fixed. It wasn't a big deal. And the other story that I want to share is, if you think about the swamp people and the gator hunting and things like that, guys, as I back this out and look at the entire area under this storm surge warning from the mouth of the Mississippi River and all. But back, just bear with me a moment. It's one of my favorite childhood memories, is that we would leave the neighborhood that we lived in, which was, you would call it in the country if you lived in Mississippi, except instead of gravel, you had white ground oyster shell roads. But where we lived at that time in Empire, between Port Sulphur and Buras, just outside of Buras, we could walk back to Adams Bay, which you can't see it very well right here, but that's what you're saying. And before you got out into the bay, it was like a massive hayfield, which was marsh grass. That's what it looked like. And then you'd have, instead of roads cut through it, little canals and all for boat traffic. And there was an old wooden bridge there. Some of you, if from that area, may remember it. But you had to walk through the woods. The road was overgrown with trees, but the bridge was still there, right out in the middle of that marsh field and that canal. And we would, a friend of mine, he was in the 5th grade. I was in the 4th grade, and we would take a 120-pound nylon test with a big hook on it and 2 or 3 shrimp and drop it off that bridge in that bayou and catch 7-foot plus alligator gar. And I haven't seen those records broken to this day with the show called Swamp People. One of my favorite shows, by the way. I love those people. I love their lifestyle. I love their truthfulness. And guys, that's just how it is in that area. And by the way, Buras at that time had one of the finest fishing rodeos on the planet. But again, in the 4th and 5th grade, we were catching record alligator gar on hand lines, mind you, and pulling them in with gaffs, much bigger than we were. But I just want to share that with you because I know that area. But let's back this out. Just excuse me for that. But here we're looking at, again, how far the storm surge is from Texas. And guys, look how far up into Lake Charles, up into Cadia Parish here. Vermilion's covered up, Cameron, St. Mary's Parish, Terrebonne Parish here. All of this is in this surge warning, and we're talking about 20 to 25 foot surges. Now I want to take a moment and look at Windy, this software that I showed you earlier, and look at what they're talking about as far as waves that are coming in. So when you have a storm surge, and guys, put in, say a prayer for all the people that you see on Swamp People. They're down to earth country folks, because they all live at sea level. Many of their homes are there, their businesses, and this is way above sea level, I promise you. But we're talking about 20 to 25 foot storm surge, and possibly 14 to 15 foot seas or waves coming in along the shore on top of that. Now, how that will mix, it will be hard to say, but I'm going to show you the numbers on it. Now, the video before this, we went to our website and we went down to the links on the left. Right above hurricanes, there was a link called Windy, and we were looking at the wind patterns. We'll check that now too, but at wind gust out to the left of the center, 168. Remember, we were at 155 earlier, 163, predicted to be close to 200 coming ashore. Let's look at 167. So you see how 170, you see how rapidly this thing is developing. It's going to be a game changer for sure. Now switch this over to wind and wave, and it's the waves that are you're dealing with when you're dealing with a tropical hurricane or storm. And if we come here, guys, you're 33 foot. Now this is at this time 33, right in that area. This is the rough part. You get up close to shore now. This is Sabine Pass, Cameron, and this area is going to be the north east quadrant of the storm. Intercoastal City, Morgan City, Houma. It's going to be a rough night, guys. 25 feet. Now this is, if we get up close to the shore right here off Intercoastal, we're at 9 feet now. But let's go down to our time scale and come up to midnight tonight, right about there. Okay, now that 9 foot went to 12 foot here, and out off the section of the storm, 19 foot. And this is as it's starting to come ashore, so the waves behind it will be slowing down, but 20 footers here, and right along the shore, 10 foot. Right there, 9 foot. Coming here, 11 foot. And this is going to be the northeast quadrant, 10 foot. Now let's go just a little forward in time. That's midnight. Let's go past that. Get this thing to update itself. Now the storm's ashore. Okay, it's come ashore just after midnight. This is 7 a.m. in the morning. The storm is ashore, but now you still have 9 foot, 8 foot waves offshore. This is as close as we can get, right about there, 8 foot. Now that's in the morning, way after the storm has come ashore. So you've got to add those 12 foot numbers, 7 foot numbers, depending on where you're at, on top of a 20 to 25 foot storm surge. Now that's going to change, and these are 8-foot waves here are every 7 seconds. Notice that? So you're going to have that high storm surge, and you're going to have these waves coming in every 7 seconds. I understand all about it. I've sailed through hurricane force winds for 24 hours and 20-foot seas. I know all about it. But guys, this is going to be a game changer. I said it earlier today, it will be a day in infamy. So I will update this throughout the night. We may even go live with radar and at the time that's coming ashore, just depending on my signal, because we're on the outskirts of the storm now. We've already had some rain and thunder and lightning. So I'm just depends, but we'll definitely be doing updates. Guys, it's a heads up. Be safe.